You know, everybody's got their favorite wide receiver of all time. Mine is Santana Moss. Obviously, I'm a Commander/Redskins fan, and Santana Moss has just brought me so many amazing childhood memories. But the issue with wide receivers is they come and go so very often. Obviously not as often as a running back, but with more wide receivers playing in a game at once, so many wide receivers just slip through the cracks. Someone like an Anthony Armstrong, someone like an Allen Hurns. These players are not nearly talked about enough, even though they've had fantastic production in the past. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to really dig down, get deep into this video, because right now we are going to talk about 3 forgotten wide receivers who really, truly fell through the cracks of time and are forgotten. But it is my job at the Gabe Sayers Believer to immortalize these wide receivers forever in these types of videos. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 forgotten wide receivers. Make sure you guys drop a sub, drop a like, and of course a comment. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, but let's jump right into the video. First on our list, ladies and gentlemen, is Early Doucet. Now, Early Doucet was born October 28th, 1985 in Louisiana, and he was a 5-star recruit and ranked among the top wide receivers in the nation. And Doucet was known for a blend of strength, speed, toughness, looked like a really great high school prospect. He would commit to play football at Louisiana State University under head coach Nick Saban, and later playing under Les Miles at LSU. He was part of that loaded wide receiver group that included Dwayne Bowe, Craig Davis, Brandon LaFell, and he carved out his role quickly thanks to his crisp route running and dependable hands. And over 4 seasons, Doucet was able to play in 44 games and amassed over 160 catches for nearly 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, and was a good contributor on special teams. Now, when Doucet entered the NFL in 2008, he became one of the top slot receiver prospects, and though he ran kind of an underwhelming 4.57 at the combine, he was still looked at as like a really highly touted prospect because of his production in college. The Cardinals would snag Doucet in the 3rd round, 81st overall, in that 2008 NFL draft, and expected him to eventually replace the aging Anquan Boldin, or at least be like a nice tough slot receiver behind Larry Fitzgerald. As a rookie, Doucet kind of saw limited opportunities, only catching 14 passes for 90 yards in 12 games, and the Cardinals were a veteran-filled team. And of course, with the surging offense led by Kurt Warner, it was not likely that they were going to throw Doucet, who was a developmental receiver, kind of into the mix too early. But he did record 9 catches for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns in the 2009 playoffs, showing a little bit of glimpse of that reliability. His peak season came in 2011 after 3 inconsistent years hampered by injuries and being buried on the depth chart. Doucet finally broke out, where he played in 16 games, had 54 catches, nearly 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns, with even a 70-yard touchdown catch against Carolina. His 2011 campaign included several awesome performances, and that was with, Kolb and John Skelton at QB. So the fact he was able to do this with those 2 idiots at QB, that shows off his skill right there. Unfortunately, that rise went right back down into the toilet. 2012, he struggled with injuries again, including a pair of concussions and nagging hamstring injuries. His production just plummeted to 28 catches for 270 yards. Arizona's offense also just kind of collapsed due to that terrible quarterback play following Kolb's injuries and eventual release, and then that kind of marked the end of Doucet's time in Arizona. He would actually go sign with the Seattle Seahawks for the 2013 season, but was cut during training camp, and that was because he failed his physical. And he reportedly showed up out of shape and just not really recovered from all the injuries, and that was the unceremonious exit of Early Doucet at just 27 years old. I guess you could say it was an early exit. He played in 5 NFL seasons and appeared in 54 games, had 139 career receptions for a little under 1,500 yards, and had 7 touchdowns. He really showed that he could be a really good slot guy, but unfortunately, injuries, as they do, just broke down this poor dude's career, and he didn't really make any high-profile transitions into coaching, media, or business. And you know what? His story is a good reminder of how narrow the margins in the NFL are. But you know what? He had a cool name, Early Doucet, and an even earlier exit from the NFL. Next on our list, ladies and gentlemen, is a Washington football team legend. I'm talking about Cam Sims. Born January 6, 1996 in Monroe, Louisiana. Cam Sims became a legend on the Washington football team, and he entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent in 2018. And you know what? He was able to carve out a multi-year career as a physical outside receiver and special team contributor. Sims would play football at the University of Alabama, where he was part of another loaded receiving corps with Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper. Because of that competition, Sims was never able to put up big stats in college. But you know what? He is a big guy. 6'5", 215-pound frame, and he's still able to put up 41 catches, 467 yards, and 2 touchdowns across 4 seasons. And you know what? He was a willing blocker, and it helped earn him a role on multiple national championship teams. Entering to the NFL, he would go undrafted in 2018, and Sims would sign with Washington and impress enough in the preseason to make the initial 53-man roster. And in his NFL debut, he even had 1 catch for 22 yards, but unfortunately he suffered an ankle injury in the same game and was placed on the injured reserve, ending his rookie year before it even got to begin. In 2019, he bounced between the practice squad and active roster, playing in 7 games and making just 2 catches. While not being a major contributor, he was still out there, on the field, making some plays. And Sims stayed in the team's plans due to his size, work ethic, and, potential as a red zone threat. That breakout year came in 2020 when he took advantage of a bunch of injuries to the wide receiver room and emerged as a decent starting little receiver. Dropping 32 catches, 477 yards, and a touchdown, he averaged almost 15 yards per catch. He had a crazy career highlight in Week 9 against the Giants where he caught 3 passes for 110 yards, including a crazy 45-yard catch. Sims quickly developed chemistry with quarterback Alex Smith, becoming a reliable third down and sideline target. And in Washington's 2020 NFC wildcard game against Tampa Bay, Sims had the game of his life. With starter Terry McLaurin playing injured and tight coverage on Logan Thomas, Sims would actually step up with 7 catches for 104 yards, helping keep Washington competitive in a game where backup quarterback Taylor Heineke made a surprise start. In the later years, he never actually got a solidified long-term role in Washington's offense. In 2021, he was re-signed on a 1-year deal, but saw a reduced role, only catching 11 passes for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. And in 2022, he appeared in all 17 games, but only had 8 catches for 89 yards, mostly a special teams guy. Following the 2022 season, Sims would sign with the Las Vegas Raiders in the 2023 offseason, but was released before the regular season even began. He then joined the Giants practice squad, didn't appear in a game, and as of 2025, he does unfortunately remain a free agent. Somebody needs to pick my guy up, all right? My guy's a dog. His NFL tenure saw him appear in 55 games, start 17 of them with 57 catches, 804 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and even a solid playoff performance. Cam Sims was never going to be a wide receiver 1 or a super consistent starter, but he was a big-ass dude, 6'5", over 200 pounds. And he was a unique matchup problem that earned him a reputation as a hard worker and a locker room favorite for football. When I say football team fans, I mean Washington football team fans. He's a Washington legend. We all love him because he's a big dude, and he made a couple really crazy plays, and he was always super chill. So you know what? Shout out Cam Sims. I love Cam Sims. And finally on our list, ladies and gentlemen, is Anthony Miller. The thumbnail, October 9th, 1994 was the day that Anthony Miller was born in Tennessee, and is a former NFL wide receiver, best known for his time with the Chicago Bears, where he was a promising young slot receiver. Why is it? We had 2 promising young slot receivers on this list, but whatever. Career arc was ultimately defined by injuries, inconsistency, and shit quarterback play, and a couple little stints on little teams. Dude, he was a crazy player at the University of Memphis, where he was actually a walk-on and redshirted in 2013 and missed 2014 with a shoulder injury. But once healthy, oh my god, he was one of the most productive receivers in school history. 238 catches, 3,500 yards, and 37 touchdowns in 3 years of action. And in both 2016 and 2017, Miller had over 1,400 receiving yards and double-digit touchdowns, really established himself as a tough, competitive wide receiver with really strong hands and yak ability. He did have a huge performance against UCF, nearly 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it cemented his place as Memphis' all-time leader in receiving touchdowns. Now, moving on to his NFL career, the Bears would snag Anthony Miller in the 2nd round, 51st overall of the 2018 NFL Draft, actually trading up to get him, so expectations were high, especially in that Matt Nagy offense, and which truly needed a spark in the slot. Miller joined a revamped Bears offense that also included Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, and rookie quarterback Mitchell Trubisky. As a rookie in 2018, Miller played in all 15 games and led the team in touchdown receptions with 7 actually, showing a nose for the end zone and crisp route running in the red zone. Finished with 33 catches for 400 yards and quickly became a favorite on 3rd downs and goal line plays. And despite some shoulder issues that would linger throughout his career, Miller flashed that star potential. Miller's most productive season then came in 2019, where he would post 52 catches, 656 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns, and even had 3 100-yard games that season. Inconsistencies truly plagued him, though. Drops, mental errors, and a lack of chemistry. Trubisky and backup quarterback Chase Daniels would really screw up his breakout hopes. In 2020, Miller would play in all 16 games again, catching 49 passes for 485 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he struggled with penalties and lapses in discipline. A low point came in the wild card playoff game against the Saints, where he was ejected for punching defensive back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a dick, I get it. Can't do that in the playoff game, though. He drew some criticism from coaches and media, and it was really a frustrating moment for a player, known for his fire and intensity, to kind of do it to his own detriment. At this point, his career began to decline. The Bears would trade Miller to the Texans in 2021, hoping a change of scenery would reboot his career. But his stay was short-lived. He would catch a touchdown in Week 3, but was waived after just 2 games. He then would sign with the Steelers, spending most of that season on their practice squad, and Miller would re-sign with Pittsburgh in 2022 and appeared poised to make the active roster, but a season-ending shoulder injury in training camp ended those hopes. He was then cut in 2023 and has remained a free agent ever since. Anthony Miller's career stats sit at 50 games played, 140 catches, nearly 1,600 passing yards, and 12 touchdowns. And unfortunately, while Anthony Miller brought edge and aggression to the slot receiver role, he thrived on those quick slants, back shoulder fades, and improvised plays, but, unfortunately, it just didn't fully work for him. Injuries, undisciplined acts, silliness kind of fucked up Anthony Miller's career. And, he was a fan favorite for stretches of his career with the Bears, and he showed that kind of raw passion and explosiveness that made him look like he was going to be a star, but unfortunately, luck was not on his side. But he will be immortalized forever on the Gabe Sayers Believer channel. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I had so much fun talking about forgotten wide receivers, and I love wide receivers. It's actually the position I wanted to play growing up. When this video goes up, I'll actually be in Iowa, and I'm not from fucking Iowa. I'm actually from Connecticut, so that's kind of far away. I'm on a wrestling trip defending my GTS hardcore belt, so I'm probably throwing in some GTS footage right now of me defending the hardcore belt in the home territory in New Jersey, even though, again, I'm from Connecticut. I like to drive. But I'm not I'm not driving to Iowa, I'm flying. But okay, all right, I got off to a tangent. That's why there's wrestling on the screen right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys again so much for watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe, comment. So close to 1,000, like I said. And guys, let's all work together to make this a community of believers. Now, I saw the comments from the last video. I like the believer name. Thank you for whoever commented that. So, my believers, thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all again very, very soon. Smoke crack.